At 6 a.m., a cool winter breeze blows through the narrow streets of Córdoba, where Farah, the 16-year-old daughter of a local potter, wakes up to the adhan for fodder. She rubs her eyes, yawning and stretching, only to find her shawl has somehow migrated to her cat during the night. Now, she's left debating whether to brave the chill or wrestle it back from the feline. She ties a soft belt around her waist to keep the fabric from getting in her way as she works. Over her hair, she wears a thin scarf in gentle, natural colors. This outfit keeps her warm in February's chilly mornings, but still lets her move about comfortably. By 6:15 a.m., Farah is in the courtyard, rinsing her hands and face close to her mother and father. Then she and her family pray together. Prayer is one of the pillars of their religion. Around them, the city stirs to life. Neighbors begin lighting small fires to cook breakfast, and street vendors roll out carts with fresh produce. At 6:45 a.m., Farah eats a simple meal of flatbread, olives, and a little honey. Her father, Yusuf, sighs when he mentions how Córdoba has been changing. With the Caliphate breaking into taifas, trade routes aren't as busy, and it's tougher to get an item that he badly needs, a new potter's wheel. Still, the sun is shining, and Farah is happy to enjoy her bread while the world around her wakes up. Soon the workshop will be bustling. Farah starts preparing clay for new pottery. She notices the sounds of horses and donkeys passing by outside. In some corners of the city, you can catch people chatting about the fitna. Yet, others talk about the latest fashions, like the bright colors people are wearing to lift their spirits. 1 hour later, she sits at the pottery wheel. Yusuf's voice is calm as he explains the day's work. They have orders for plates, bowls, and decorative jars. Despite whispers of unrest, life goes on, and people still need these items. Farah wonders if travelers will return once the fighting calms down, so their family can spend more time walking across Córdoba's famous gardens and bustling bazaars. By 9:30 a.m., it's time to glaze the fresh pottery. Farah hums a tune she learned from a musician who passed through months ago. She likes adding cheerful patterns, hoping they might bring a bit of brightness to someone's home. At 11 a.m., Farah helps load the kiln. She chats with her father about the weather, warm days and cool nights. They both agree that Córdoba's climate is one of the city's gifts. Yusuf reminds Farah to keep an eye on the kiln's temperature. Any mistake could ruin their day's hard work, and these days, every pot matters. By 12 p.m., neighbors gather to share lunch. Lentil stew, fresh fruit, and leftover bread make for a casual meal. Everyone talks about the shifting power in the city, but they also talk about upcoming weddings and potential husbands for Farah. By 13, there is already plenty of candidates around. Farah listens and realizes that one of them is her cousin. Not a bad candidate, she thinks. From 1 p.m. to 4 p.m., Farah focuses on carving details and painting designs on the dried pottery. Sometimes she glances outside. People stroll along the streets, greeting one another, bargaining at small stalls, and swapping news. Córdoba might be dealing with the fitna, but it's still filled with everyday sounds and sights. Almost at the end of the working day, Farah checks the latest batch, and the kiln reveals its treasures. Farah feels a small victory. Despite worries about Córdoba's future, it's satisfying to create useful and pretty things. By 5 p.m., the Maghrib prayer call echoes through the streets. Farah heads to the mosque with her family. Around the streets of Córdoba, the scent of jasmine attempt to cover up the less pleasant smells of such a large city. Evening comes, and dinner is a bowl of soup and fresh bread, which warms Farah after a long day. She does not talk much, but hears the conversations between her father and older brother drift from the day's pottery to the rumors about the city's future. The warm soup might not solve the fitna, but it sure solves the hunger. By 7 p.m., she helps her mother tidy up, then giggles at her father's silly attempts to juggle clay scraps. A neighbor's lute music drifts through the windows, carrying a sense of comfort. Around 8 p.m., the family unwinds with stories, with Yusuf recounting tales of Córdoba's golden days, when travelers came from afar to see the city's famous libraries and gardens. To Farah, who never witnessed those glorious times, the story sounds even a bit inflated. Finally, at 9 p.m., Farah settles onto her sleeping mat. She thinks about tomorrow, the pottery she'll create, and the dream that Córdoba's conflicts will ease. For now, she closes her eyes, grateful for simple warmth, good food, and her family. In a city like Córdoba at those times, where change was the only constant, these moments were gold.